I'm Adam Shorn. Welcome to The Green Room, the LA Times video series focusing on California's cannabis, commerce, and culture. In this very special episode of The Green Room, we're tackling the topic of mental health by revisiting our conversations with pot-smoking Marines, marijuana moms, and a couple of professional athletes who say the herb has helped them heal. This is The Green Room. Do you feel like if everything had been legal?
Listen, I used it in one fight against Andre Galata. I broke his eye socket, his cheekbone, his back, and I said, wow, I should have used this earlier.
In the years since the sun set on his legendary boxing career, Mike Tyson has been many things. You might have seen him play a fictionalized version of himself in The Hangover. You might have downloaded his podcast, Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson.
So my drinking got out of control when I got money. And then,
It happened.
yeah. That's the clip.
Today, though, we're going to focus on Mike Tyson, the cannabis entrepreneur, and explore how he went from a controversial boxer to weed evangelist, educator, and partner in an Orange County cannabis company that's taking the country's legal weed scene by storm. I'm Adam Shorn, and this is The Green Room, the Los Angeles Times video series focusing on California's cannabis, commerce, and culture. While Tyson touts his later-in-life relationship with cannabis as overwhelmingly beneficial, mentally, physically, and financially, his introduction to it was decidedly less so.
My mother friend used to give it to me when I probably was 6 years old, try to make me go to sleep.
Really?
Pot and some gin and stuff, and I just was always using it. It was just normal to use it, and that's just what it was.
Now, were you a regular cannabis consumer throughout
Every day all my life.
Really, all through your boxing career and everything?
Just I never do my boxing career. For like 16 years, I didn't do it.
Mike is a big voice in cannabis. What fixed Mike was 5-MeO DMT. It's like what he said saved his life. And then also cannabis.
Was it pain management?
No, it was anti-psycho medicine. You know, look what I did through my whole career. Look at the shit I did, all that violence, all that bullshit, all this. And that's because I was unbalanced. I needed medical help. So they put me on all these Thorazine and, you know, the worst they can give somebody. And I was on cocaine too, so I started smoking weed and I stopped. My wife came in my life, cleaned me up, you know. We had relapses and stuff, but it was a process of getting clean. Yeah. And I just smoked. No more liquor, anything.
He gives a voice, he's very brave. And so you're trying to destigmatize and educate. The only way you can do that is when you have big voices doing that.
Feeling like they've cracked the code on the successful celebrity cannabis branding, Tyson and Chad Bronstein are now looking to grow Tyson 2.0 by launching like-minded sub-brands. The first of those, which started rolling out to dispensaries in late September 2022, is in partnership with the flamboyant, boa-wearing, and recently retired professional wrestler Ric Flair.
I've been using cannabis, the edibles, for 3 years.
Edibles for 3 years, because I thought you had like a longer relationship with cannabis and pain management and all that. But
No. You got on edibles to get off Xanax.
it sounds like your relationship with cannabis kind of came just a little while before your business relationship with cannabis came about. How did that?
Well, what happened was somebody gave me some cannabis, right? And because it's not, and I moved to Florida, so you can't buy it in Florida. So I got back on the Xanax. But as soon as I met Chad, and I had access to the stuff, and I got back on the edibles.
When Chad called you and said, I'm thinking of a Ric Flair sub-brand as part of the Tyson 2.0, what was your original response?
Well, I said yes because I'm a fan. I was going to do it. He has the biggest fan, especially from African Americans. You know, he's the man. I respect him so highly. I've met him in the past, and I have the most respect for him.
How long ago did you make the deal with the Tyson 2.0, and how has it been since then?
It's been 6 months, maybe 7 months, and within a month I'll make as much money as I would have made my last year of wrestling.
Wow.
Everything in life has got to be moderation, and I'm the last guy to practice that. Moderation is not a word I understand or ever have. But with this, it's moderation, and it's fun, it's recreational, and I didn't realize how popular it was because I just hadn't stopped to take time and look back on it. It's very popular.
Tyson 2.0, which Tyson says is a metaphor about his new life, first hit the market in November 2021 with a range of cannabis flower and pre-rolls. But what really put the brand on the map, not to mention take the internet and media by storm, was an edible offering called Mike Bites, an homage to the infamous 1997 bite fight in which he bit Evander Holyfield's ear. Since you're opening a pack of Mike Bites, one of my questions, who came up with the idea for the edibles? Because that was a big viral play
My wife.
What have you got?
You know what we got? Well, I have to explain it, man. When you gotta explain it, we don't know it. What is it?
Mike Bite.
We made more money selling this, I guess, than my $3 million fine for biting the dab.
Yeah. In a surprise move in advance of the holiday season, Mike Tyson and his cannabis brand have announced a partnership with Evander Holyfield.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. You mean my ear?
It's a limited edition partnership of the Mike's Bites called Holy Ears that will lead to a full-blown Holyfield cannabis line launching sometime in 2023.
I took my ear, I ate the stuff, and it put me to sleep. And I'm sitting down, and she okay then. You know, it's certain things I ain't have to worry about that night. I turned it down the first time because the fact of the matter, I didn't know. It just took me a little time to think about what the cannabis mean. I found out that it helps in so many areas of people's life. So people need help. It never was a hate thing between me and Mike. It was just a competition. He wanted to be the very best, and I wanted to be the very best, and Mike always been a hard worker. I actually seen this stuff happen to him. I seen Mike at his calmest.
Knowing that personal appearances in dispensaries and fan meet and greets are part of the brand's secret sauce, Tyson, Flair, and Bronstein are seemingly always on the move across the country and across the globe.
Mike traveled everywhere. And so when we started to show, if Mike shows up to Colorado, he shows up to these markets, and he's very in tune and educated on what his cannabis products are, the consumers showed up. And so then other MSOs and other companies were like, holy crap, what's going on here is pretty amazing. And so then people were calling us up and saying, hey, we want Mike to come to our store. We want Mike to come to our store.
Mike Tyson, the God, God!
You guys are super busy, all of you, flying all over the place, doing personal appearances and talking to not just fans of your original careers, but your current careers in the cannabis space. What's your favorite part of that?
Just educating people on cannabis. The old school people, the people who pretty much demonized it, that it's a new day, and cannabis is the main subject.
What do you think the chances are of it being decriminalized at the federal level anytime in the near future?
I think high chance. I think the chances with what Biden on October 6th came out with, I think hopefully the dominoes fall into place.
What does that do for a brand like Tyson 2.0 that already has 24 states and Canada?
Allow us to be able to help more people.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. All this is about helping people. Yeah. Charities and everything. You know, the bigger this is, the more we can help.
You know, one thing when we started this, Mike's big thing was, you know, focusing on people that we discussed earlier that are incarcerated for it, right? So we're doing one with Breathe With Me, which we're doing tomorrow. We're actually going to an event, and we're backing that. We've done a few other charities, and we're, you know, getting as much involved as possible through over the next year. You know, the key was, like Mike said, get the company growing, and now we are. So now we're able to really support and help out.
How different is the stoned Ric Flair than the non-stoned Ric Flair?
You have to ask them. I don't remember. Fairly entertaining.
It's just such an uncanny difference, Mike Tyson off cannabis and Mike Tyson on cannabis.
Completely
My
different.
children don't like me, and my wife don't like me off cannabis. They love me on cannabis.
Yeah.
So that tells you I like on cannabis the most.
Yeah. Do you feel it makes you more the original,
It makes me
authentic
I
Mike
have,
Tyson?
I have patience, I'm kind, I'm considerate, and that's why my family likes me to smoke.
What's next? Are there more athletes, retired athletes in the wings?
It has to be someone that's willing to really go and interact with fans, that travel, and that wants to have fun, and we have chemistry with. And so that's how we're analyzing brands. We're getting hit up by a lot of them right now.
Okay, so now people are pitching you.
Oh yeah, we get hit up by a lot just because, you know, I think Rick and you and Mike will say that we do it right, and we've been really great, and you know, we're not salesmen selling them a dream. We're showing them that with what we can do, and so I think a lot of people see that and they want that representation.
What do you feel makes you a good face of cannabis?
Everybody knows my life, my story, and they see the contrast without marijuana and my life with marijuana, and they see the tremendous difference.
Can you see Tyson 2.0 being sort of like the William Morris or CAA of cannabis brands?
No, I look at it Standard Oil for celebrities.
Okay. I can't wait to sit down with you in 5 or 10 years and recap the Standard Oil of celebrity cannabis brands era.
Hey, only the universe is willing.
If we're trying to substitute
for opiates,
and substitute for psych meds, you need daily regimen.
Taxes in California on our cannabis are exuberant. So it would force them to look to the illicit market if they didn't have access to the meds through our programming.
For more than a quarter century, cannabis has been a legally prescribed medicine in California, recommended by doctors to manage a wide range of conditions, from arthritis to seizures. But if you're sick and can't afford your medicine, good luck getting your insurance company to help foot the bill. Thanks to cannabis status as an illegal drug at the federal level, that's a non-starter. And until the passage of Senate Bill 34 in 2019, cannabis companies couldn't even donate product to those in need without paying a hefty sales tax. And now that that law has passed, San Francisco-based delivery company Ease has partnered with a handful of cannabis brands to get product into the hands of those who need it most. I'm Adam Shorn, and this is The Green Room. You launched this program in the Ease Compassion program in 2019.
Yes.
Because you saw a need with the large amount of taxes, even for product that was being donated.
Correct. I had the opportunity to work at Ease right at the dawn of adult use legalization, where many medical patients were being left behind with these new regulations. The tax was so great on the product that could be donated that it was unfeasible for folks to receive this medicine and for providers to provide it because it was too expensive.
Have you been delivering to patients in need since 2019?
Yes, absolutely. And the law passed in 2019 and was implemented in October of 2019 when Governor Newsom signed SB 34.
So as orders come in, we get them on the monitors here. We have 4 different territories that we serve. They come out right here. Those were both from our South Territory. Boom. And then it'll tell us what it is. We have an order with edibles and a vape, flower and a vape. To keep everything together, I just put everything in a bucket. Purple limeade I've got right here, along with guava. And we scan just to make sure that I'm grabbing the correct items. And then I just try to keep them as closed as possible so everything stays in, and they're good to go.
Here we're packing a compassion order. We've come up with a system that creates a template receipt.
And then I'll simply print out 2 receipts, and it will tell me the quantity, the product, and which customers that it's going to. These are my inventory for the compassion donation. So what I do is once I print this out, I make sure that the quantities are correct and then the company's correct, and then I'll go ahead and simply put it into this Ease Compassion donation bag.
Every product is also allocated not only in metric, but also physically has a sticker on it that says that it is donation and for medical use only.
How do you find the patients? And these are all, is the qualification that they all have to be medical, they need to have a medical cannabis card?
Correct, yes, they have to have a doctor's recommendation that states that they are a medical cannabis patient, or also have a state-issued MMID card. I partner directly with the compassion organizations such as This Is Jane Project, Weed for Warriors, and Operation EVAC. They identify patients that are eligible to receive, and they refer them to Ease Compassion to sign up, and I check that they have been verified by the organization that has referred them.
It really started about getting cannabis in the hands of veterans so they can make the decision to substitute cannabis for the opiates they take.
We are a nonprofit organization that sheds light, builds community, and uplifts the lives of women and non-binary trauma survivors.
We do it through a series of survivor-centered programming, and that includes things like the Compassionate Care. SB 34 allows us to provide access to cannabis that they otherwise would not be able to afford.
And they use this medicine to confront, manage, and heal from trauma. Now that trauma could be medical trauma, generational trauma, racial trauma, sexual trauma, etc.
For the veterans who are over drinking, we found that when cannabis was available, they drank less. So what we're seeing is where cannabis is available and accessible to our veteran community, we saw lower suicides, lower overdoses, lower domestic violence, because alcohol makes you mad, right? A lot of our vets. We're on the front lines. That's what our group's doing.
Every couple of months or so, I get a compassion delivery, and it's been really great and convenient.
Yeah.
What's happening with me is like I have a chronic condition.
Okay.
And this is, it looks like a baby, but I'm one of those people that's pregnant but not with child. I have uterine fibroids.
Okay.
I had surgery. They were to remove them. Then they grew back. I lost my insurance, and you know, the healthcare system isn't the best in the States, so I was kind of left to my own devices, and then found out that cannabis shrinks tumors, and I just needed to find out if there was any truth to that. And it does.
How did you get connected with the Ease Compassion program? Was that through the This Is Jane project?
Through the This Is Jane, it was like a paper trail. So SB 34, the Compassionate Care Act, and I contacted Dear Cannabis, and then Dear Cannabis put me and This Is Jane project together, and then we were well suited.
Ease has a fantastic network of really great brands on our menu, and this is an opportunity for them to provide free medicine and also not incur a cost of having to destroy product. The legal cannabis market right now in California, folks are definitely overproducing for the season, and there is abundance of product that is not getting to shelves and sitting at distros with the time ticking on when it
like
expires.
The Best Buy date or something.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity for us to help those brands mitigate the cost of actually, they have to destroy it. They have to pay for a waste management company to come pick it up and bring it to destroy it.
So not only do they lose the money, but then they have to pay for it to be taken care of. Okay.
So this is a win-win for everyone.
If you were trying to, you know, do this self-medication yourself, which obviously isn't covered by any insurance or anything, like what would be the cash outlay for what you receive every couple of months?
Yeah, it's impossible. It's like, it's incalculable. Like I need a gram of cannabis oil a day.
We started this and I was like, do we want to give one pre-roll out? And it's not, if we're trying to substitute
for opiates,
and substitute for psych meds, you need daily regimen.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, an eighth of flower is basically 3 joints.
Yep.
Okay. If you want to smoke that morning, afternoon, and evening for your medical regimen, that's about $40 an eighth after taxes. And that's not a high-end flower, right? That's like 40 times 30 is $1,200.
Yeah.
Veterans make $3,000 tax-free if you're 100% disabled vet. So to medicate in the legal market, we would need to eat up 40% of our disposable income every month just to go into the dispensary to have 3 joints a day.
Either you're gonna live, you know, pay your rent, or you're gonna be able to afford meds at a shop. So, you know, it's like, how do I find where the sesh is at to go find the black market meds that aren't tested, you know what I'm saying? So I'm taking this big risk and gamble just so I can stay off of the opiate stuff, you know, because now people are dying off of fentanyl. You know, I was just fortunate enough to detox off of it, you know, years before that. So it's been a big lifesaver, and these drops have definitely been something that was much needed to the veteran communities,
Since inception, we've been able to supply over 100,000 units of compassionate product to patients across California, specifically in the Bay Area and LA, and excited to, you know, keep expanding that work.
We have helped over 100 Janes with access points to compassionate cannabis donations. We have also facilitated access points to low-cost medical recommendations, which is necessary to get the compassionate cannabis donations, to over 50 Janes.
Our Janes are desperate for access to this medication. They don't have expendable income, they don't have the opportunity to go out and really do this, and the taxes in California on our cannabis are exuberant. So it would force them to look to the illicit market if they didn't have access to the meds through our programming.
It's been a driving force for me to pay it forward to help other people that I know that are struggling and going through those type of things, to say, hey man, you can live a much better life. You can get out of the house. You won't, you know, have these suicidal thoughts. You'll be more tolerable to yourself, your family, and those around you if you just switch what it is that you use, you know what I'm saying, for your self-medicating.
How different is your quality of life through this program, regardless of whether anyone believes whether or not it's shrinking a tumor or there's medical, whatever, because I know there's going to be haters out there.
It's a world of difference. It's a world of difference. It's one thing to know that you're healing, and then to add on to feel that you're healing, and then to have test results that actually show that everything that you're feeling is actually happening.
When people talk about cannabis, they talk about like it's not bad. I don't want to play that game. I just want to show how it's like can contribute, like what it's for. Anyone can look at their life and realize, yeah, when I feel like my life gets worse, when I feel good, I have better ideas and things seem to move in a more positive direction.
Ricky Williams is one of the greatest college running backs in NCAA history. Playing 4 seasons at the University of Texas, Williams was a 2-time All-American and won the Heisman Trophy in 1998 and played 11 seasons in the National Football League. However, it wasn't without some controversy. Before the 2004 season, Williams tested positive for marijuana and faced a $650,000 fine and 4-game suspension. He chose to retire instead. He returned for the 2005 season, but was suspended for the 2006 season due to another drug policy violation. He came back in 2007 and played 5 more seasons. He ended his career with more than 10,000 career rushing yards, only the 26th player in NFL history to do so. So we're in Manhattan Beach today to talk to Ricky Williams about his football career, his cannabis business, and what the NFL needs to do to take better care of its players.
The first time that I smoked cannabis was in high school. Okay. It was my junior year, but I didn't become a smoker until after I left college. The conditioning from the very beginning is that this is bad. Like the consideration that it could be good, it wasn't there. In college, so a lot of the guys on the team, sometimes Fridays, they would go into the room, shoot dice, play cards, and they'd smoke, and they, pass a blunt around. And I was young, and they invited me in, and so I was being cool with them, and so I'd hit it a couple times, and it was nice. I didn't, I noticed that it, contributed to the camaraderie and helping us feel together as a team, and those were really special moments. But it wasn't something, I wasn't a smoker.
And it wasn't like you smoked and all of a sudden you were like, I can go out there on the field and right.
There wasn't even a connection, and because most of us athletes, when we're growing up, we're said this is a bad thing. So it's not. It was difficult to take pride in it and even to consider it in a positive light. It was my senior year in college, and I just had a really rough couple of weeks. And I remember my roommate, suggested that I smoke, and I smoked, and I slowed down, and I started looking at all the things in my life from a higher perspective, and I wasn't so caught up in the stuff. I could see a way out. I could see it differently.
Is that the way you used cannabis while you were in the NFL?
The way I keep thinking about the world now is we live in 2 different worlds. Okay, we have the outer world, which is we have expectations from people and things and ourself, right? We have the expectation that we need a place to sleep at night and we need to put food in our body, right? Those are external needs. But we also have internal things, right? We need to feel certain ways. We need to feel like we're accomplishing certain things. And I think truly at the end of the day, at least for me, those inner urges always went out over the external expectations. And what I realized is the need for peace of mind was much more valuable to me than the fame or the money or any of that other stuff. And so if I had to choose between giving up peace of mind to make money and destroy my body or to feel good, I chose to feel good.
While cannabis may have hindered Williams' NFL career, it also paved the way for his post-football calling as a cannabis advocate, not only for recreation, but for health. He recently started his own cannabis line, Heisman.
I always had this dream of really combining sports and spirituality, because especially as I had my spiritual awakening, I realized, going through yoga teacher training and living in an ashram, it felt so much like training camp. It felt so much like a football environment, and I started to make a connection of everything that we learn as a professional athlete can prepare us to be successful in life. The first aim is to give people an expression of the love for these 2 things, right? Because they've been separated for so long. And the second thing is to kind of lead the way of examples of how to combine these 2 things, because I've been doing it for so long.
Right.
I've been ahead of the pack, so I have a little bit of experience.
He's not just an athlete, he's an athlete who has a voice and he wants to get his movement out there and he wants it to be heard. It's a movement, and we're all doing our part, and some of us have louder voices, and he just, the way he's using his it's beautiful, He's doing something he believes in, and it actually is helping people.
This one's one of those that for the price, it definitely...
And it's what? It's $40. It's $40 for...
Yeah, $40 for an eighth. Basically, off of that, you got 3 different options, which will be the pregame, halftime, and the postgame.
We have a sativa, our pregame in California right now. Our sativa is called Jesus Skittlesworth, which is a cross of Jesus OG and watermelon Skittles.
If you're gonna hit a hike, definitely go for it. Gonna hit the gym. I'm someone who, if I'm I used to box, if I'm about to go boxing or something like that, pregame will be my go-to.
Our halftime is Ken Jiffy Jr., which is a peanut butter souffle.
With halftime, it's like you got your players who's like super tired during halftime. You got your players who's still, you know, mad that they took in the L, they're excited that they winning, and they're energized. And with halftime, I feel like it gives you that. It's like however you're leaning, that's where it's gonna take you to.
And then our post game is cherry rice, which is a cherry pie. And if you notice, each one is, you know, an homage to a well-known athlete.
Post game is definitely after the game, I would say. It's that, you know, you're tired, you're excited. I'm assuming you won the game too. So you just want to kind of go home, relax, just you know, take the rest of the day and just enjoy what you got left after that. So post game will be the one.
Athletes are people too. People, you know, we smoke weed to feel better, maybe ease the pain in our neck. But then, do you pick up the television remote and watch your favorite show, or do you pick up, you know, a video game controller and play a game with your friend and enjoy it more? Do you enjoy food more? Is that a recreational thing or is that medicinal? I don't know, but it's mental health.
In 2020, the NFL and the Players Union ratified a new contract in which cannabis use was loosened. Under the new agreement, players who test positive will no longer be suspended. Players will only be tested the first 2 weeks of training camp, and the threshold of THC one could have in their system was raised fourfold. And while they won't be suspended, they will be fined and put into treatment programs. Do you think that the way the rules that they've changed go far enough? Or do you feel that they should just totally remove cannabis from the list of things that they test for during the season?
So after a football game, especially for me because I, you know, carried a lot, our trainer would walk down the plane and he had this little container of Vicodin, right? And he would say, what do you need, 3, 4? And he would pass them out, okay? Football is a brutal sport. And to me, the NFL's responsibility is to give players all reasonable means to take care of themselves and to punish players by fine, because they've cut it down to a fine, for taking care of themselves in natural ways, even if, you know, the government hasn't caught up to realize that this shouldn't be illegal. I think NFL owes it to their players.
Do you think if the rules as they are now were in place, then you would still be, you would have extended your NFL career?
For sure, but I'm not saying that's a positive thing. Right? There's an assumption that the longer you play football, that's a positive thing, right? And I don't share that because I value quality of life more than I value like money, and money doesn't always lead to quality of life. When people think the only way that I'm allowed to feel good is I have to have something wrong with me, then they create things wrong with them in order to justify doing something that feels good.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to say is you don't need a reason to feel good, except if you want your life to be good.
Is there a kid's snack that's also a really good snack for when you're high?
I eat all their Oreos. The Oreos are mine, and we've got goldfish and pirate's booty. Those are like, because that something about that pirate's booty and the cheddar.
Parenting can be a stressful job. Many moms are finding that a little puff of cannabis can take the edge off while you're raising that little bundle of joy. That's the topic of Why Mommy Gets High. We recently sat down with the author, Wendy Brazil, and some of her Canna Mom friends to talk about the inspiration behind the book and some of the joys and stigmas that exist with pop parenting. I'm Adam Shorn. This is The Green Room.
When I was a little girl, I would dream of sailing seas, making dinosaur discoveries, and flying on the high trapeze. But the dream I dreamt most come true was to be a mommy to the two of you.
It's not one of those parody books that's like a children's book.
Nope.
Why did you want to write it as a children's book?
When my kids were little, when they asked me where babies came from, I flat out told them. 2, 3 years old, it was just part of life. That's how I think that weed and any medicine should be. And I wanted that message to be told to my own children.
Okay, so it's the book that you wished that you had.
Absolutely, I wish I had it for my own children.
Did you feel guilty that you couldn't explain it to them?
It wasn't that I felt guilty. I felt like I looked a little kooky, you know, because I would be helping them with their homework and starting to lose my temper or starting to, you know, feel like I was a little out of control, and I would say, give me a moment, and I'd come back and I'd be a completely different cool mom. It dropped my ego of, you know, you have to get straight A's in order for me to look like a good mom. And it made me realize that homework was for them. It made me remember what was important about being a mom.
How is it for moms who consume cannabis right now? I mean, what's the environment like? Is it judgy?
Depends on where you live. Because if you're a California mom, you could get a little bit of judgment, but maybe not as much because you do see dispensary billboards everywhere you go, so it's a bit normalized. On the East Coast, absolutely not. That's not something you go around advertising to everyone because you do risk Child Protective Services, Department of Children and Family Services intervening, and that is not something you want.
How does it work? And I guess I wouldn't ask that about like Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Right, but.
Well, I think for me personally, I have always been a cannabis consumer, always just recreationally. And then as I started to learn more, I realized that my use wasn't as recreational as I thought. I realized that it's like, oh, so people struggle with this, but I don't because I have a coping mechanism, like a way to help
like
myself.
The wellness thing, okay.
Yeah, and so I think that for me has always been my through line. So then, when I got pregnant, it was just a natural thing for me to be like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable smoking because I'm pregnant, and you shouldn't smoke when you're pregnant. But there are all these other ways that you can use cannabis that don't include smoking, that don't include getting high. So then it was like, oh, just opened up like a whole new world.
Certainly had a relationship with cannabis most of my adult life, and it's been an ally of mine and a preference. And I think it was something I always chose to self-medicate with that plant versus, antidepressants or other things or over time, or even just, Advil. I can use cannabis for a lot of that stuff. And so it's a go-to ally of mine all of my life.
There's a lot of things you kind of have to cut out in your diet when you find out that you're pregnant, right? You want to grow the baby and the baby have like 2 eyes and ears and do all the things. So you're like, okay, no caffeine. No. So I was like, okay, I have to give up everything. And I was miserable. And so then I became pregnant with my son, and I told myself, I was like, my next pregnancy, I'm consuming cannabis because I made the connection that I wasn't happy in my pregnancy because I stopped cold turkey consuming cannabis. So I incorporated it into my pregnancy with my son. It was the best pregnancy ever. Looking forward to having more kids now because I was just like, wow, cannabis is really the solution to making pregnancy enjoyable. I couldn't understand why women were like, oh, I love pregnancy. It's the best time of my life. I was just like, no, this sucks. It's horrible.
I was very lucky because I had a neighbor who made me a good batch of brownies. It was absolutely a game changer where I was able to get up and go to work and not feel, super high, but I wasn't in the bathroom all morning long.
What did your kids, now adult kids, what was their reaction to the book when you told them that you were writing a book called Why Mommy Gets High?
They have all done stories for me on their Instagrams.
Okay. No higher praise.
They're proud of me, and they're proud of the message. And I have my youngest daughter is her sorority sister is my person who goes out and does all my media for me, Nina.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and they're good with it. It's hard to have fun with so much on my mind. Sometimes mommy needs a way to unwind. Mommy may slip away for just a minute or two. I'll come back feeling carefree, ready to bake cookies with you. Parenting is lonely in the first place. And then when you're a mom who partakes, when there aren't a lot of other moms that do that I knew, it was extremely lonely.
What's it like when you're at an event or something, and you find, there's another mom.
We all know it.
Maybe not as open as like the earrings or something, but like, what's that feeling when you encounter out in the wild? When
you're so excited.
Knows? It's like finding your tribe. You're like, oh my gosh, sister, come.
I feel like, oh, there's a deeper connection.
Yeah.
It's like you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
You totally get it. Yeah.
What do you say to your kids about cannabis at this age?
Remind
me again.
They know that they're 3 and 6, and they know that it's only for grown-ups, that it's medicine. Like I've even shown my son because I like the cannabis drinks, I've shown him like the triangle and the exclamation with the weed, and I've shown him, and he knows like that's not for me, that's for adults. Like, and so I think that just being open about it really, really, really helps from a young age so that there's nothing to hide. I'm not doing anything wrong.
When they smell weed, they're not like, oh, what's that? That's just a normal smell. And that's just around. And I don't, consume in front of them, but we just kind of, take my medicine. They know we take lots of teas and medicines at home. We do lots of vitamins, and they know I love medicine. This is just another medicine, that I take. And I don't announce it when I'm taking it.
What has the reaction been outside of the family and friends who are being obviously supportive?
You know, I have quite a few friends who've decided not to follow my Instagram and have feelings about it. And, you know, I do find, you know, that my friends who have issues with it don't have any issues with taking antidepressants or, you know, having multiple martinis in the evening. So I think it's a little strange, but
so that was a surprise to you, that that kind of reaction?
It was.
When is the appropriate time? Is there an appropriate age? I didn't look and see if there was an age like range or anything like that.
I think younger the better.
Yeah.
It's just normalizing it. It's just making it all okay. I mean, nobody's saying go out and get messed up. We're talking about use it as a way to connect with your children and a way to enjoy things and to take your mind off of everything else where you're actually present for them. Although I may smell a little funny, I'll be a much happier mommy. And our chocolate chip cookies are gonna be extra yummy. Making a mess, running around the house, building forts on the couch. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna cry. But hey, there are no big deals when mommy's high.
Do you feel that cannabis, for you personally, is a better stress reliever than alcohol?
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't really drink alcohol that much at all. I love wine, so I never get on Wine Moms because I can also be a cannabis/wine mom. I love a good red wine.
Be careful about being a crossfading mom.
Yeah, don't want to crossfade it. I realized that early in my mothering experience, I went to a day party. I got really drunk and threw up, and then I had to go chase after my toddler, and I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I would never have that experience with weed.
Dads who consume cannabis get more of a pass and or less judgment than moms.
Ooh, you know what? Can I say something? I was literally just thinking about this yesterday, and I was like, canna mom is a thing on the internet. Hashtag canna mom. It's a total phrase. I don't hear canna dad.
There's so many times when it's like the dad smokes, not the mom. You know what I mean? Like, I've met so many couples, parent, friends. Yeah, the dad, not the mom. Dad, not the mom. Dad, not the mom. Dad, not the mom. You know, and it's just like, but if you're a mom, it's like, you are a mother. That is your whole life, your whole personality. That is what you know, like, you don't get to have anything outside of that.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, when I think about it, even parenting, when my kids were little, I would have a glass of wine, while we were making dinner, and all I wanted them to do was go to bed so that I could have another glass of wine. And I'd read half a book, like, okay, it's time to go to bed. And yet with weed, it was like, Mom, not another book. We want to go to sleep. You get into it, you enjoy it. It's an enjoyable experience rather than, every wine mom I ever talked to, it's like, yeah, I just want to get the kids to sleep. I mean, not putting down wine moms, but, there is a different way of looking at parenting where the canna moms I talk to are the most engaged, really
with
in
their
tune.
Kids. Engage with their
children.
Kids. Yeah.
Yes, really in tune with their children. Enjoy being with them. It's not like, why won't my husband watch them so I can go out to ladies' night, or why can't? Right. It's about wanting to be with them. And that's why, that's why I think it's so important to at least think about it as an option rather than, because we all need to shake it off sometimes. Every mom does. But for me, when a day is extra hard, I light up a flower we grew in the yard. And then I know my dreams have come true and I can be the best mommy to the two of you. And that's why Mommy Gets High.
I wanted to make a holistic approach because I'm never going to sit there and say, if you're having problems, have some cannabis. Right. But I think cannabis should be a tool in the toolkit if it makes sense.
As a special operations team commander with Marine Raiders, Brian Buckley fought for his country in Afghanistan. Now he wants the federal government to step up and fight for the right for veterans to use cannabis instead of opiates to treat the after effects of their service.
When we tell the story about Hellman Valley Growers Company, we get to speak about the legends of the Hellman Valley. These men did amazing things. I used to tell people, history will tell us if we made a difference. We all saw that kind of play out in August, and it was kind of a what just happened right there. But maybe some good can come from that crazy valley that we fought in, and if we can sit here and we prove the medical benefits and help veterans save lives, that is a great way of kind of paying homage to them.
That's an uphill battle. because while cannabis acceptance at the state level continues to grow, it remains illegal at the federal level, where it's classified as a Schedule I drug, which means it has no medical value, which affects its ability to fund studies that might prove its worth in fighting things like post-traumatic stress. That's why he decided to launch a cannabis brand that would channel 100% of profits into funding medical cannabis research. I'm Adam Shorn, and this is The Green Room.
Went to Fallujah, Iraq. When I came back from that, they said, hey, you did a pretty good job. Why don't you try out for Marine reconnaissance? So I tried out. They sent me right back to Iraq 6 months later. And then when I came back from that, we started up Marine Corps Special Operations Command, now known as Marine Raiders. And then I spent a majority of my career as a team commander and did deployments into Africa, Southeast Asia, as well as Afghanistan, in particular the Helmand Province.
Helmand Valley, that sort of caught my eye when I saw the name of it. How did that come to be the name of your brand?
Helmand Province was by far the most volatile area in Afghanistan. When I served as a Marine Raider, I was in the 1st Raider Battalion. And when you go to Helmand Valley and you serve there, you become part of the Helmand Valley Gun Club and you get an HVGC tattoo.
I was going to ask if you had one of the tattoos.
Absolutely. We came up with this concept of this company. We wanted to keep a military niche to it, so threw HVGC up on the wall. And it hit us really quick when it went Helmand Valley Growers Company. So I went back, I briefed the guys who were part of it, kind of explained what we wanted to do. And I'm like, I just want to make sure everyone's cool. We got to trademark this and whatever. And the guys were like, not only are we cool with it, but can we get a job when we get out?
For those of you who kind of are unfamiliar with our products, we color code everything to make it more easily identifiable. So anytime we're talking about our hybrid products, it's going to be in a green box such as this.
Your flagship product that you started with are these vape cartridges.
Yes, so this is one of our distillate vape cartridges. This particular strain is our Purple Trainwreck, probably our most popular hybrid distillate cart. Hybrids, that olive green, our sativas, we always color code these sort of desert brown, which leads us to our indicas, which we have our Purple Kush, and we also have our Afghanimal.
Called Afghanimal, so it's a cross between
Afghani and animal cookies.
It was kind of when I transitioned out of the military. I'm 100% disabled, and I was just having a really rough time sleeping at night, and that's when someone was like, hey, why don't you try some cannabis? And when I took it, it was probably the first time I just felt like a warm blanket hit my brain, and it was kind of like my mind was finally at peace.
Did it help you sleep?
It was the first night I got a full night of sleep, and I don't know how long. I had an opportunity to talk to some members of Congress, and they're like, listen, I'll say—
And that was in 2016?
2016, and they're like, I would say right now, I'm sure it works. But they're like, I'm not walking out that door and going to make that statement in front of the TV or anything. So they're like—
You mean the people in Congress?
Yeah, they're like, if you guys can get data and get American doctors, you guys will have an argument. From that, I looked at a Paul Newman salad dressing bottle and went 100% of profits to charity. And
so that's what.
Yeah, that was one of the ideas when we said, hey, with Helmand Valley Growers Company, why don't we do 100% of our profits to help fund our research?
The whole reason for the company is for them to raise funds to do research about cannabis versus opiates for veterans, which is a great selling point in theory. How does that resonate with customers when they come in and inquire about it?
I think it definitely resonates with people because I feel like when people come in to shop for cannabis, a lot of times they don't even really know anything about the brands. They just see the product, they see the strain name, and they see the percentage of THC, and then they're like, I want that one. But when we are able to talk about the company in the background, we have a couple different companies like HVGC where they have that more like charitable background. People do take it very well, and I think it does like translate to sales a lot. People like to know that they're helping a cause that they believe in because they're here shopping, so they do obviously believe in cannabis and the properties that it has.
Prior to us actually bringing any products on the shelves, we test these out on veterans that are already dealing with PTSD. So we'll sit down with them, we'll talk with them about some of the issues and symptoms that they have, things that are associated with post-traumatic stress. So once we have an idea of some of the challenges that they're facing, we can say, hey, like, try this.
To be clear, that's different than the study, the large studies that are going to be funded by the profits from
Correct.
this. This is just sort of like you're sort of doing like market research.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We're lucky enough to have these connections through the work that these guys have done in their military career. And at the same time, because of their military career, we unfortunately have an unlimited supply of people. And there's no way to really tell or dictate, who's going to be affected.
What do you need to have on hand to fund this study?
You know, we probably, we need a couple more $100,000. And again, if anyone wants to help donate, go to BattlebrothersFoundation.org and you can donate now and help us out.
And what is the study going to be? Is it going to be a certain number of?
This first study will be with 90 veterans here in California. And basically the goal will be at the end of it, we'll have a recommended treatment protocol and a formulation. And then from there, we'll go on to a more robust study here with about 200 veterans. Once we prove it works here, we want to move into another state. And that way we can prove it's repeatable and accessible and we're getting the same results. And then at that point, we're kind of as far as we can go. And that's when we'll have an opportunity to go to Congress, raise their right hand saying, here's your data, here's your American doctors, can we proceed with FDA trials?
The focus right now is on helping veterans and alleviating some of those issues that they face due to the VA's hands being tied. But once people, once you sit down with them and you explain to them and you talk about opiates, that is the thing, in my experience, that is the most eye-opening for a lot of people, is because everybody knows somebody that has an issue with pills. And it's something that's allowed us to really ramp up and educate the bud tenders and the customers really, really quickly. And when you think about, there's been studies and statistics where it's 22 veterans a day that are losing their life via suicide and or opioid overdose. So something has to be done. These are preventable deaths. It's time for us as a country, in my opinion, to explore these options, these alternative solutions, because we have to be better.
I really hope that they are able to succeed and become one of the bigger names in their category of products, just because I do believe in the message and the research that they're doing. I think that research is crucial to help legitimize not just HVGC, but the cannabis industry as a whole. People that make the legislation in California and within the federal government will be able to see that there's a reason people are buying this, and has nothing to do with just smoking weed for no reason.
I don't know why we're not flipping every stone to see what solution can we find for these great men and women. I mean, I tell everyone, these men and women who serve our country, they raise their right hand and sign a blank check payable with their lives. So why aren't we doing everything for them possible? I can look someone in Congress straight in the face and say, you sent me to war, now it's your turn to fix me. And what can they say to that? But I'm also a capitalist, and I believe in a free market. And I think if you sit and wait on the government, you're gonna be waiting for a long time. So it's like, let's just grab the bulls by the horns and do it ourselves and prove it to them. I'm not gonna run up the hill, I'm just gonna walk around it.